Ibawan, good morning and welcome to Couch Safari. Couch Safari, for all those who are joining us for the first time, is a novel initiative of TPB to promote Sri Lankan tourism by streaming wildlife safari for the first time in Sri Lanka. The program aims to showcase the rich biodiversity and the natural beauty Sri Lanka has to offer for future travellers. My name is Lanka Dhanapala and it's my absolute pleasure to be your host this morning. I have with me in the studio Vimukti, a wildlife specialist. We're heading into the...
Ibawan, good morning for all our viewers around the world.
Heading into the field straight away, guys. Looks like we've got something to show you already.
Oh, they're always very sweet animals. The roosting peacocks overnight are still on those perching places. As you can see, a male peacock there. I can also see the hornbill on the other tree. We actually got lucky, I think, because with the monsoon coming, I know you can see the water replenishing itself. We still saw quite a bit of behavior with the leopards.
Oh yeah, I think we had some fabulous sightings yesterday.
And it's very clear that a park such as Yala, even when it starts to rain, does offer the photographers some really golden opportunities, because yesterday what we saw with the carcass initially, which has been scavenged by the crocs, the jackals and the wild boar, thereafter the leopard that came down the tree and reclaimed its prize, was a full range of the predatory behavior along with the scavenging that is going on, and it was just stunning to see that, all that in one morning.
Yeah, I think that's entire, the whole drama has to go on whether it rains or not.
Yes.
And I think it's also very exciting to see the difference, in the dry season, the landscape looks entirely different to in the wet season. There's so much green already with just a couple of days, a little bit of rain. The entire landscape is transformed.
It is. It really is very green and very lush. And as we head deeper into Yala National Park on our second session of the Couch Safari, we invite all our viewers to tune in and watch, and let's see what the jungle offers today.
Absolutely. I think we are hopefully in for another treat.
As they make their way into the center of the park, tell the audience what we're seeing there.
This is spotted deer, one of the commonest in Yala National Park, and they are out in large numbers after the rain to nibble fresh grasses. And this is one of the main prey items of leopards in Yala, and more since the spotted deer numbers are big and they have plenty of things to eat for leopards. So that's how this life is continuing in Yala between the predators and prey.
Nilu wants to know, how is it that the populations are so large? How do they maintain themselves?
In spotted deers, I guess. Yes, there's plenty of food for them to eat, and they are what do you call, the multiplying time is short for the deers, and so that they have plenty of things to eat and the population is flourishing. which is beneficial for the prey items and many things in the Yala National Park. And you can see another one in the foreground, which is the wild boar. The wild boar population is also very healthy in Yala National Park. They have plenty of things to eat. They are vegetarian omnivores. They eat some dead carcasses and things like that. And they are playing recycling role of the nature because they eat everything, both the vegetarian part as well as the dead carcasses and things like that.
Interesting. So we're very excited about this morning, looking forward to seeing all kinds of different species. Again, we are at Yala National Park, and warm welcome to anyone who's watching from all around the world for the first time. We've been capturing some incredible footage, Vimu, isn't it?
That's true, and this is all for all our viewers around the world, and it's not an easy task, during this lockdown situations, COVID situations, to take the crew out and set up field studios, and all the technical difficulties are there, but still we are working hard to bring this footage for our viewers around the world.
Okay, heading back into the field now.
Doc, it's a bright morning and the buyer weavers seem to be very busy in their little colony here.
Yes, you can see them starting to build a nest and a couple of half-built nests. It's a very interesting bird. They build these nests with grass and with long hanging entrances. And also they sort of build them in one tree together, so they have breeding colonies.
Yes. It's also for some kind of safety, isn't it? Because they do have predators around.
Yeah, we have two species of weaver birds. So the buyer weaver is the one that we have that nests in colonies like that. The strided weaver, of course, builds nest in reed beds.
Yeah. We also get the streaked weaver, right?
Yeah, the strided, no? So the male is much more brightly colored, as in most birds.
Yes.
Golden yellow and with some black markings on it. The female is more drab colored.
So they build the nest and invite the female to inspect, is it? Or do they build it together?
That I'm not really sure which. The males certainly do building, whether the female also does the building, I don't really know.
It's somewhat believed that the male builds the nest and the female looks at it and either accepts his invitation to create a home. Oh, there you are. You can see the male bringing a little streak of grass and adding to the design of this amazing little creation they make for a small bird.
It's a lot of work. It's very intricately woven together. Oh, now you can see it beautifully in the sun. And now there's some argument between two of them. So you can see him weaving that strand into the nest, making it part of it. And so they will keep doing that till there is a globular portion, and then from that they will build an entrance, which is like a little tunnel that hangs down.
Yeah. At times you can see at least a dozen or sometimes up to 24 nests in one little colony, and it becomes a hive of activity. It's just about to start. I think we can see about 3 nests and a couple of birds in action.
Right. Yeah. you do have some trees completely festooned with these nests, and it is quite a sight. You can hear the cooing of a spotted dove in the background.
You can, yes.
It is one of the commonest birds in Sri Lanka, but still quite a pretty bird.
It's an interesting fact that, in a small country like Sri Lanka, where we say we have just about over 500 bird species that gets there with the migration, and our neighboring country, India, which is amazingly rich in its own natural world, has 2,000 plus species of birds. But Doc, if you take the math, the land mass of India is 50 to 60 times bigger than Sri Lanka. So it actually kind of works that we are close to 20 times more dense in the bird life we find in this tiny little island.
Yeah, that's an interesting statistic. India, of course, has a lot of different habitats going up to the Himalayas in the north, and plains, deserts, and so on. But I mean, Sri Lanka is, as you say, for its size, it's amazingly diverse. And we also have the central hills, the plains around a wet zone and a dry zone. So the interaction of these different habitat types provides a lot of different niches for these birds and other animals. And we also have a very high rate of endemicity. I think it varies the number of endemic bird species that are recognized, but now I think it stands somewhere around in the 30s.
Doc, I wanted to always ask you, the high level of endemicity found in Sri Lanka, can that be triggered as a result of the central mountains that kind of changes the habitat conditions and the difference in temperatures so sharply that allows more speciation to happen in this small country?
But it varies. I mean, the commonest method of speciation is isolation.
Yes.
So the fact that Sri Lanka broke off from India and was isolated from India for a long period. But of course, there have been many connections and disconnections between India and Sri Lanka with the ice ages.
Okay.
And the last connection is thought to be about 15,000 years ago,
Okay.
which is not that much at all in terms of evolution and differentiation.
Yeah. Yes.
But the point is, where we have the highest endemicity is in the wet zone of the country,
Yes.
which has been isolated from India for very much longer by the difference in habitats. So
Okay.
there probably wasn't continuous wet zone type of habitat that extended from Sri Lanka to India
Yes.
for probably, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years or maybe millions of years.
Yeah.
So whenever the connections were during the glacial periods when the ice built up and
Yeah.
the sea levels came down, but in that time the climate grew much drier. So the connection would have been through dry kind of habitat.
Okay.
So as a result, the wet zone species were isolated because when again the glaciers melted and the waters came up and Sri Lanka and India were disconnected, then the wet zone habitat would have enlarged and expanded, but then the connection was not there anymore, the land connection.
Yes.
So at some point there was, Sri Lanka was actually when India broke off from the landmass, the Gondwana, and drifted up and impacted Asia. So Sri Lanka came with that, but somewhere along that separated a bit from India.
Okay.
So the wet zone species might go back to that original separation.
Which is quite a while.
Which is very, very long time, probably goes back millions of years.
Okay. All right, guys, let's move.
Look at that.
So we were, as we were watching that footage of the Baya Weaver, Vinwood, tell the story tell the story to the viewers that you just shared with me. It's quite interesting.
For our benefit of our viewers, for additional information, what Dr. Puthu and Chitral was talking about, this beautiful bird, the nest is constructed by Baya Weaver, is to invite a female to mate with her and to continue the life. And the female actually pick the male that can construct the best, nicely built, very neat nest. So nest building is directly related to how the male gets get the heart of female. And not only that, not only building the beautiful nest, but also the elaborate dance that he has to perform by hanging on the nest. And the funny thing is, if female comes visit the nest and refuse to mate with him, he will build another one. And that is why in Baya Weaver colony you will see multiple nests built by the same male. Lot of labor to win hearts and minds of a female bird.
I tell you, that's so interesting to me. Alan Dixon asked, why do they build their nests like that? Hopefully, Alan, that answered your question for you.
Absolutely,
it's
Alan,
almost like the dowry concept,
That's right.
Now, on the screen right now, though, what is this particular?
This is a Malabar pied hornbill. This is one of the common hornbills in dry zone of Sri Lanka. And we do have two hornbill species, which one is the grey hornbill, the other one is Malabar pied hornbill. And he's just on the tree and preening with the morning light. Beautiful.
See
here?
Looks like a common sandpiper. Yeah.
The early arrivals of the migration, but those numbers are bound to swell as the weeks go by.
Yeah, the common sandpiper is, as the name implies, it's fairly common, and it's has a very characteristic behavior. You can see that it all the time is wagging its tail up and down.
Yes.
And so it's easy to identify from that. And unlike some of the other waders, it has also somewhat shortish legs.
There's another colony of weavers there to the left of the tree. They're quite active. I think there are more than 8 nests being built in a hurry. It's with the onset of the monsoon, you can see all the birds getting ready for their nesting season.
Sure. I guess it's now the time of plenty, so...
Common kingfisher, Takalaro on camera. Doc, this is a little gem. You see a common kingfisher quite close to the camera here.
Yeah, that's a beautiful bird, isn't it? I mean, up there he goes.
He's come back. Oh, he just caught something.
Did he catch something?
And Yasa sits on the other branch. Catch it. He's got a tiny little fish in its beak.
Yep, it's morning breakfast. Down it goes.
They're absolutely efficient little hunters. Their eyesight and coordination is so great. They sit in a little perch for quite a few minutes and you'll see them just taking off and coming back to the perch with a fish in its beak. So it's called common, but it's not so common in Sri Lanka, isn't it?
Yeah, it has a very wide range, even going into Europe. and I think the name is derived from that.
Yes.
But in Sri Lanka, probably the white-breasted, or now I think it's called the
Throated, yes.
throated, is perhaps more common. But we have a number of kingfishers. There's the
I think we have
tiny
almost
three-toed.
six species. I think there goes another one. It just got another little tiny fish. And the breakfast looks very rich for this little chappie in the morning.
Yeah, looks like a
Oh,
good,
there's another
good
nice
place.
spot he's seated now. Absolutely photogenic.
So the kingfishers, of course, build their nests on the banks of earthen banks in a little tunnel that they make.
So you mentioned we have 6 kingfishers, so let's count them in for the benefit of the viewers. So we have the common kingfisher here, we have the white-throated, we have the Indian pied kingfisher,
All right.
we have the stork-billed kingfisher, we have the black-capped kingfisher.
Who is actually a migrant.
Who comes, and it comes in very small numbers.
Right.
It's almost the price of photographers. And then we have the three-toed.
We have the three-toed, so we have actually 7.
We got 7.
And then the blue-eared.
Blue-eared as well. So the three-toed, blue-eared, and the black-capped ones are the most rare.
Yeah, the blue-eared is actually, so both blue-eared and three-toed are residents. But for the blue-eared, it's kind of at the edge of the range, being commoner
There
in
you go.
East Asia.
That was the third fish in the last 4 minutes, Doc. As we were talking, this little common kingfisher has swallowed 3 little fish.
No wonder he's called a kingfisher.
Truly the king in fishing.
Looks like he found a really good spot in this little pool here.
I know, and all the fish are in the little puddle of water are in big trouble this morning.
Yeah, you can, now he's beautifully posing up for us, for our couch safari viewers.
There he
Goes
goes,
again.
and up he
And-
comes with another one.
Wow, this guy is really efficient.
And it goes on, I think, at the intervals of about 30 to 60 seconds. Just almost like 100% strike rate. That is amazing.
That is amazing, yeah. This must be teeming with little fish.
He's gone to the other side of it now, probably trying to see whether the resources there are much higher. But yeah, these birds are truly efficient in their ways of going about finding food, aren't they? Let's move, guys. Jana kapi yamada.
Living up to its name, the king of the fishermen. Now what is, oh, this is spectacular.
Oh, yes. this is the changeable hawk eagle. I think it's mature bird. I don't know whether it's a male or female, but he got a prize this morning. Pond heron. Pond heron numbers have increased with the rain, and they come to the open grasslands and the shallow wetlands. And I think he has snatched one of these pond herons. And just look at
amazing.
Our viewers can enjoy this sight.
We have a small crocodile, a mugger. He's moving around, just about absorbing the heat to get activated in the morning, dog.
Mm-hmm. You can also hear the calls of the jungle fowl and the pitta in the background.
And also a crested hawk eagle,
Crested
I believe.
hawk eagle, very close. And now that's I think a cougar. There's such a lot of bird life all around us.
In the morning, the best thing is to stay by your water hole, switch the vehicle engines off. There you go. And just listen to the jungle melodies. It's truly a treat for any nature lover. There's a barbet calling now. There are bulbuls calling. Yala, though it sits in the dry zone, is quite a destination for the bird lovers, and there is a lot of bird photographers who come here, as it hosts over 200 species of bird in this wilderness. And as the numbers go up with the migration, the times between September and mid-March becomes the best season to capture a wide array of bird life at Yala.
Oh, up on the tree.
Yes, there are some Brahmin starlings on the tree. Yasas, can we change the camera angle way up? It's a winter visitor, and if you can just catch that for a few seconds for our viewers. Ara usagahe wammat inne. Ara ehata mehata paninne. It's good spotting, guy.
Now there's a wood shrike on the same tree. Maybe
Wood shrike too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an endemic, isn't it?
It's indigenous. I'm not sure if it's an endemic.
The wood shrike is endemic? It is, yes.
It is?
Yeah, it's among the 30 species that is only found here.
Recently considered endemic,
Yeah.
huh?
And the barbets calling each other also is adding to the melody in the morning. So though Yala is best known as a leopard park, there is so much going on here. And in between your leopard sightings, this wilderness will surely keep you entertained as long as you're a true nature lover. So for all the children watching Couch Safari, it's a bit of advice. We would like the nature lovers or the young children to be true nature lovers. Don't come and look only for one species, because the jungle has so much to offer. Just in the last 5 minutes. We paused at the Madapara Raungwala, or the circular waterhole in the center road at Yala, because we saw a baby croc. But whilst we switched the engines off and listened to the jungle, we probably saw 7 species of bird within 4 minutes.
We can hear lots more.
We can hear lots more. Probably we heard more than 15 while we saw, filmed and photographed 7 in 4 to 5 minutes. So this is the magic. You come to a place of wilderness almost with a prayer for its protection. Enjoy everything that jungle shows you, whilst you can look for what you like most. And I can give you, with my experience, some kind of a guarantee that nature will bless those who will stay patiently until the opportunities come. So children, keep a wide range of love that you want to see and admire, appreciate and celebrate in the wilderness. And it's nothing wrong in having your favorites, because some people may be truly bird lovers, others could be for elephants, mammals, even leopards. But as long as you love and appreciate, absorb and celebrate everything you see in the jungle, you will never have a safari that you can call that you felt bored in the jungle. So the circular waterhole became a happening place, Doc?
Absolutely.
So you draw a comparison between us and the animal world. This must be like a coffee bean. Everything starts to happen in the morning.
And as Chithral was sharing, Sri Lanka is a beautiful tourist destination. And if you're streaming from outside of Sri Lanka, don't forget to take part in the Sri Lanka Tourism Giveaway, My Sri Lanka Story. Share a photo you took while visiting Sri Lanka on your social media platforms with a short and creative caption, and stand a chance to win a free holiday to Sri Lanka. There are 16 holiday packages on offer. 4 packages include both the air tickets and a 1-week hotel stay, while we have 12 offers of a 1-week holiday in Sri Lanka. You can find out more details about the competition on Tourism Sri Lanka Facebook page and on our website www.srilanka.travel/wildlife stream. Looking at those beautiful aerial views, Vimu, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, this is the lagoon before you enter to the park on your right side. It's a lagoon, is a big lagoon, and then a lot of water birds are there in this lagoon.
Incredible. Well, stay with us, folks. We are going into a very quick commercial break. We'll be back with more fascinating sights. You're watching Couch Safari. It always amazes me how white those feathers are while they're out in the wild. It's incredible, isn't it? Pure white.
How do you maintain that
Exactly.
pure white plumage?
Tell us a little bit about the cleaning activities, maybe. That might
Well, the
help.
feather cleaning is a big part of any bird's life. Maintaining a feather is must act that they have to do almost every single day, and then new feathers are keep growing, and that is how they maintain. Because for bird, flying is number one. That's why they have to maintain the feather.
Of course.
all the
Going
time.
back into the field now, join the guys.
So this is a very intriguing tree with a very prominent white, sharp and a long thorn that comes out of the tree. And we used to generally call these kukul katu in the local language.
Right.
Doc, what do we call this in English?
It's so I guess it's a translation. It's
Yes.
called the cockspur thorn,
Coxperthon, all right?
and it's in scientific name is Acacia eburnum,
Yes.
but now I think it's changed to something else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's these are really hard thorns that can go through the tire of a vehicle.
And I've been pricked once about 20 years ago, and I still remember the pain. It's smarting.
Yeah, it's about, I would say, 2-3 inches long, very
Yes.
hard white thorn.
Almost acts like a shield. You don't expect anything to feed on this, Doc?
Well, guess what? Elephants love it. So they will grab the thorns and all
Yeah.
with the trunk,
Yes.
break it off,
Yes.
put it in the mouth, and munch it up.
And that so much of inner tissue and skin in the loose skin in the mouth takes this in.
Absolutely, and that actually has given rise to sort of a myth or a belief
Yeah.
that in the local belief that elephants, there's a saying that
Yeah.
elephants like the taste of blood, and that's why they eat thorny stuff.
Okay.
So the people have observed that elephants actually prefer thorny vegetation, but
Yes.
there is a very good biological reason for it. So of course, when they eat it, their digestive tract, now the mouth,
Yes.
the soft tissue tongue, none of that gets damaged because they are adapted to that.
Yes.
You see, Chitral, the problem for any plant, any tree, is that herbivores come and eat it.
Yes.
So they come up with these defenses to prevent animals eating it. So one of these is mechanical defenses like thorns. Another option is to have chemical defenses.
Yes.
So have poisonous compounds, we call them secondary compounds.
Yeah.
So that is another way animals, the plants try to be not eaten.
Yes.
So then of course, but then the animals adapt to that. So it's kind of like an arms race.
Yes.
So elephants have adapted to eat thorny vegetation because, so with which option you choose, there are costs and benefits.
Yes.
So it's rare for a particular plant or a tree to use both types of defense.
Yes.
So generally, the thorny vegetation does not have the secondary compounds, the poisonous compounds.
Yeah.
So since elephants have to eat a lot of food, they eat about 10% of their body weight every single day.
Yes.
So that's, you are talking about 150, 300 kilos a day.
Yes.
So they have to eat a lot of food. Now, the thorns, if they can overcome the problem of getting damaged, which they have,
Yes.
then they can consume that without a problem.
Yes.
But the secondary compounds are more difficult. So if you eat a lot of things that have a lot of poison, that will affect them. So they can eat some of the things that have secondary compound, but only a little bit of it.
Okay.
So their preferred food is actually thorns. So now we come to the case where you see this kukulkatu tree with
Yeah.
these, massive, very hard, very sharp thorns,
Yes.
which the elephant loves to eat.
Yeah.
It grabs it with the trunk, breaks it, and puts in the mouth and eat. And then we think we can grow things like, lime and bougainvillea I said, but you're for elephants. The elephants are probably laughing.
That's just, it's not going to work with this kind of an animal.
For an animal that is feeding on this kukulkatu,
yes.
Can you even imagine that you can, grow thorns? I mean, elephants walk through barbed wire fences. They just walk through them.
Yes.
Without a, care in the world.
It's evolved with the natural defenses to take a lot of beating.
Yeah, I mean, they are called pachyderms for nothing. That means they are very, very thick skin.
Yes.
So the areas that elephant comes in contact, the front of the legs, have very thick, very hard skin. Mm-hmm. So they can just walk through this stuff, which if we try to, we'll probably get impaled. I mean, just look at this tree.
Oh. If we kind of fall into one of these trees, you'll be in intensive care, right? That's for sure. So for children, that's a really important thing to know, that elephants do have this amazing ability to consume things such as the tree behind me, as sharp as a 2.5-inch thorn that can really prick a vehicle tire. These animals relish on it. So they are so well adapted to live in their habitats. If you want to counter the issues between the human and elephant conflict, that's what Dr. Puthu was telling. We have to be smarter. We've got to be totally smart to ensure that the solutions we bring forward will count. Thank you, Mr. Gayan.
That's an interesting and very true fact, isn't it, Vimal?
That's right, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, very quickly, just want to let you know, if you haven't had breakfast yet, or even if you have, while you watch our magnificent wildlife, you can eat and explore with Uber Eats. Thank you to Uber Eats for coming on board. You need to use the promo code EATSYALA30 to get 30% off your next Uber Eats order before 10 a.m. today. Simply enter the code in the Uber Eats app before placing your order to receive your discount. This code is valid only for one order above 800 rupees placed before 10 a.m. today, with a maximum discount of 300 rupees per order. So do take advantage. Of course, this is for our local Sri Lankan viewers. Unfortunately, those in Australia can't take advantage of it. But thank you, Uber Eats, for your support. Interesting. While the kingfisher is feeding and getting seconds and thirds, we thought we should let you know you can enjoy Uber Eats this morning. Now, what are we looking at here?
These are few pond herons. They are sort of, just preening their feathers by using the early morning sunlight. And they also go, fly to the sort of, top of the tree and conduct their normal sort of a morning preening ritual, I would say. So as I said earlier, the preening is a big part of their lifestyle, their behavior to maintain good feathers. That's how they move from one place to the other, and avoid predation, moving one place to the other, looking for better feeding grounds, finding a mate. Everything is depending on the feathers. That's like the costume for human. You always change your costume, but they don't have that ability.
That's true. Just a really quick question, Alan. We're going back into the field. Yep, going back into the field.
From the window, yeah.
So we are seeing a very, very lovely phenomenon, Doc. On this tree, you get a couple of wild orchids growing almost like a parasite. It just looks like a vanda. But how does it get there? Is it transported to these locations by the birds or by the wind?
I believe, Chitral, that they disperse through the wind, and then they settle on some exposed branch, and then they germinate. I guess this might be the Vanda tessellata, which is fairly common here. But I mean, you generally associate orchids with the wet zone, where there is a great diversity of them. But here we are in the deep dry zone.
Arid zone.
The
Yes,
arid
that
zone,
may, yes.
as dry as it gets. And here there are some species which are even adapted to this.
And it's blooming in such a lot of color. I mean, those two plants have just exploding with flowers.
Yeah, it's a lovely flower.
It must be attracting the birds that suck out the nectar.
I don't think that the orchids have that much nectar though.
Yes, they don't
Yeah.
too much. Yes. It's stunning, and I'm sure Yasas is catching a fantastic shot of the vendas on this tree with a really lovely light blue sky at the backdrop. So we've been discussing about the diversity of animals in this country and also in Yala, but the diversity of plant and flowering species is almost off the curve here.
Absolutely. I mean, Sri Lanka is also famous for the diversity of plant life, and I think it's also a botanist's paradise.
Absolutely.
Again, much of the endemics are, of course, in the wet zone for the same reasons,
Yes.
as the animals. But yeah, I mean, it's extremely diverse, and I think another very important factor is that it's all in such a small package. So
Yes.
it's not, you don't have to travel for days or to get from one habitat to a completely different habitat.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of a couple of hours, probably, or 2 or 3 hours.
And Doc, speaking of a botanist paradise, between Yala, where we are today, and Colombo, is the capital city, just 300 kilometers on the southern expressway. The connectivity is just 3 hours, and right in the middle, you get this UNESCO World Heritage Site and the rainforest we call Singharaja.
Absolutely.
And imagine a bird lover or an endemic bird photographer or a botanist coming to Singharaja for all that intrigues him and seeing this amazingly rich rainforest with all its splendor. You come out to the southern highway, hit the road, and in 90 minutes you're in leopard country. That is why I like to call Sri Lanka the perfect island safari.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think the vegetation of Sri Lanka is compared to the vegetation of Asia in a nutshell.
Absolutely. Yeah, you put it very beautifully there. The vegetation of Sri Lanka, Doctor says, almost compares with the vegetation of Asia. And it's such a diverse offering in terms of plant and animal life. If you are a nature lover, just wait till the world is safe to travel, and a visit to Sri Lanka will stay with you for the rest of your life.
Oh, look at this spectacular species. I'm sure everyone wants to know what the name of this.
This is darter. Again, sunning by using the morning sunlight.
Right.
The darter is sunning like this because darter doesn't have the waterproofing ability in its feathers. Yeah, that is why, I mean, some of the kingfishers you have seen earlier, they do have the waterproofing substances on their feathers.
Actually, B.B. Wolf was asking that question.
Oh,
Do the
right,
kingfishers'
yes.
wings, are they waterproof?
They
So
do.
These don't.
But these don't. That is why the cormorants and darters, using the sunlight, when they go to the water and then come back, they have to always, use the sun to dry their feathers so that they can go back to the water. That's a special difference between the kingfishers and the darters.
How interesting.
Beautiful light, no? I mean, just look at our viewers. This is the morning sunlight that has fallen to the Yala National Park after the rain.
Spectacular. We have a question from Dimitri. We saw earlier a very thorny tree. It was silvery white. And Dimitri wants to know, what's the name of this thorny tree, and can it be grown in Colombo as a defensive fence?
Well, The defensive sense part I don't know, but it's called cockspur thorn. Belongs to the acacia tree family. It's very common in the sub-jungles in Sri Lanka like Yala.
Suppose give it a try.
Yeah.
We're going back into the field right now.
That's a brilliant jungle fowl out in the open. He is digging with its feet and looking for insects. It's a lovely specimen with a perfect crown, and that morning light is lighting him up absolutely gorgeously, Doc.
All right, now the colours on that particular specimen is amazing. Share with the viewers who that is.
This is a Sri Lanka jungle fowl, as Chitral mentioned. This is a male, and looks like he's going after Mrs. Jungle fowl, which we have seen a little earlier, and she has just went to the bushes. And what you see here is the koha, the common bird, one of the commonest birds in Sri Lanka. And they are. This is a female. A male is totally black, but the female has a sort of beautiful texture, or not the texture. I would say that a different pattern. Yeah, it's
hard to see through the trees, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the kohas, the kukul family, not kukul family. Cuckoo family. This belongs to the family cuckoo. Is always shy. They inside the bushes. And then it's feeding on fruits of the dry forests.
Doc, the camera is focused on lantana. Amazingly pretty flower. It also is a host plant for several butterflies to feed on. But a problem in forested areas, it's an invasive plant.
Yeah, it's not an indigenous plant. It is an exotic that was introduced to Sri Lanka and now has become naturalized.
Yes.
So the problem is it has these little berries which are dispersed by birds. So the things like the bulbuls feed on it and then they defecate, and then the plants germinate somewhere else. So there's been a lot of effort in trying to remove lantana from many of the protected areas.
Mm-hmm.
Some have been successful, some perhaps not so successful. The problem is if you cut it, it keeps regenerating and becoming more dense. It's called coppicing.
Yes.
And even if you tear it out of the ground, from the rootlets that are left behind, you get new plants. So it's not easy shrub to get rid of.
Yes.
And it's also a problem in many of the other countries. I think the origins is maybe the West Indies, if I'm not mistaken. But it's all around the world now. It's become established.
I mean, Udawalawe had a serious issue with lantana at one time.
Yeah, Udawalawe, I would say, has a lot of serious issues, and lantana is something on the way.
Yes.
Because Udawalawe is actually very interesting, Chitra, because originally Udawalawe was high forest.
Yeah.
It was dense high forest.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 60s, when the Udawalawe scheme came up, there was massive logging.
Yeah.
And there was massive chain cultivation, which entirely changed that dense, undisturbed high forest into open grassland, savanna grassland. So there were still trees here and there, but it became a sea of grass.
Yeah.
And so it became a fabulous place for elephants. It supported a much higher density of elephants than in the natural forest state. And so elephants were driven there, elephant numbers increased, they also probably bred and increased.
Yeah.
And it became so well known for elephants. But now, through time, through what's called vegetative succession, it's going back to high forest.
Okay.
So lantana is one step in the process. Of course, it's not a indigenous but exotic, but it is still one step. And now you can see at one time it was a sea of lantana. Now you can see the other things coming out of the lantana, which are local plants, and then that will shade out the lantana. And in another maybe 50 or who knows 100 years, it will become another dense forest again if things go the same way.
Yeah, I mean, in my lifetime of photography in the last, I was always more focused on the Yala Vilpat sector, but then 25 years ago when I went to Udawalavi till now, I can see the slight changes of the vegetation.
Oh yeah, I mean in 2010 the grassland was still very much intact.
Yeah.
And now there's there's no grassland anymore.
Yes.
The elephants are now picking out, blades of grass in between other things.
Yeah.
And so the elephants suffered a lot because the carrying capacity decreased radically.
So that's another amazing example of how efficient the jungle is to kind of reclaim what's lost if left undisturbed.
Yeah, but so the interesting thing is, the world we live in is really no longer completely natural because humans have such an impact on it.
Yes.
So if you take the grassland savanna habitat that supports a high density of elephants, now if you want that, you have to do something to maintain it and prevent it proceeding to forest.
Yeah.
If you want forest, then you should prevent the things that will keep the grassland and encourage it going to the forest. So of course we have to understand that if it goes to the forest, you will lose the elephants.
Yes.
So these are, things that we have to decide on. What do we want? So neither is completely natural. So if you say, some people would think a protected area should be untouched, hands-off approach.
Yeah.
Let nature takes its course. But then, in that case, we will have very low abundance of animals in many of our protected areas because, especially the ones in the dry zone, the high abundance of animals, densities of particular species, is dependent on the water holes we have created. That is not at all natural.
Yes.
So naturally, these areas, this was the arid zone because it became extremely dry.
Yes.
And if not for the water holes which are man-made, only the rivers would have some puddles of water.
Yeah. And Yala is a classic example.
Absolute classic example. So you need to, know what happens. You need to think about it. And you have to take decisions. And just hands-up approach is no longer applicable.
All right, guys, let's move.
Oh, is that a frog? That looks like a frog. Well camouflaged.
Yeah.
Well, just a quick reminder, you can witness this frog and so much more if you'd like to enter a competition that is available to you. To make a special emphasis, the entries have to be in before the 13th. So it's absolutely essential that you do actually decide on which pics you're going to upload. Sri Lanka is a beautiful tourist destination, and if you're streaming from outside Sri Lanka, don't forget to take part in the Sri Lanka Tourism Giveaway, My Sri Lanka Story. All you need to do is share a photo of you that you took while visiting Sri Lanka on your social media platforms with a short and creative caption, and then you'll be in to win a free holiday to Sri Lanka. I am not lying. There are 16 holiday packages on offer. 4 packages include both the air tickets as well as a 1-week holiday stay, while we have 12 offers up for grabs for a 1-week holiday stay in Sri Lanka. You can find out more details about the competition on Tourism Sri Lanka's Facebook page and also on our website, srilanka.travel/wildlife stream. Now, right here, chilling on a rock.
Yeah, that frog was, I think it was the green pond frog.
Right.
Which is very common after the rain. I don't know what is he doing in the soil. I think just sitting there. Yeah, this is a land monitor. It's also again common reptile in Yala National Park. They're all over the place. and it's also basking on the rock by using the morning sunlight. Get the advantage of the morning sunlight.
Now, was it the water monitor? If you could share with our viewers the tongue you were sharing with me yesterday, and we didn't get a chance to share that fact about the tongue. Was it the water monitor that has a special sensor or something?
Most of the lizards, including the reptile, including the snakes, they sense the air by using their tongue out, and then catch the sort of signals, whatever the chemicals that is in there, and then insert into a Jacobson organ, which is on the upper part of its mouth, inside its mouth, and that's how they sense to get the outside signal, the environmental cues, so that they can process it in its brain to make the decision, especially to find the food and potential carcasses around. That's how they survive, and the places that they go and dig to get something, worms, other insects, that is a very special organ that the reptiles has.
So interesting. Cheryl says, good morning. It's been a lifetime experience over the past few days with amazing filming and narration. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it, Cheryl. And of course, there's so much more to come in the next couple of days. So do stay tuned and enjoy the streaming. Chinta wants to know, did you visit Block A today as well? Are we in Block A today?
Yes, Chinta, and for all our viewers, we have to reiterate that we are streaming from Block 1 of Yala National Park, which is the one block, the sort of most popular block among the visitors. So, although Yala has 5 different blocks, visitors are allowed to visit only 2 blocks, which is the Block 1 and Block 2. Block 2 is you have to cross the Manik River to go to the Block 2. But Block 2, you have to obtain a special permit from the park office, and you must have at least good 2 four-wheel drive jeeps, because the conditions are totally different in Block 2. So the streaming that we are bringing it from Block 1, which is the only block, is open for tourists year round.
Right. Avantika actually asked, how do you book a bungalow inside the park? Now, I know the process is very long, but very quickly, can you direct her in the right direction?
Yes, Avantika, the step 1 is you have to plan the trip at least 2 months prior to your visit, and then go to the Department of Wildlife Conservation website, and then get them some details. There's a web booking system, and there's an in-person booking system. So it's a bit of a, there are a lot of details, a lot of ifs and when and all kinds of things. So please do visit Department of Wildlife Conservation website, so that you will obtain more details on how to book the park bungalows.
The process is clearly mapped out for
That's
you,
right,
so that's probably
right.
the quicker way of finding out. So once again, if you haven't had breakfast, to all our Sri Lankan viewers, Uber Eats has very kindly come on board. So while you watch our magnificent wildlife, you can eat and explore with Uber Eats. Use the promo code EATSYALA, that's EATS YALA 30, to get 30% off your next Uber Eats order before 10 a.m. today. Simply enter the code in the Uber Eats app before placing your order to receive your discount. This code is only valid for one order above 800 rupees, and you need to place those orders before 10 a.m. with a maximum discount of 300 rupees per order. It's well worth it. So enjoy your breakfast. Okay, looking at the expanse right now, I mean, right at the very back, is that rock formation we were viewing yesterday? What was the name of it?
That's called Jambarogala Rocks, and that's, you can see it stands out from the rest of the plains, and it's beautiful rock formation. Visitors can easily see that rock formation if you take the Jambarogala Road. And it's a fantastic rock formation.
Just beautiful.
And in Yala, you have these kind of granite rocks all over the place, and leopards also use these rocks to bask, rest and bask sun, and that's big part of Yala ecosystem.
Right.
The granite rocks.
Sakshi is asking, what are the wild berries which are grown in these areas? Do they have the same nutrition? We're going into a quick commercial break, but very quickly, can you just very briefly tell us?
Well, there are loads of wild berries in these national parks, especially in Yala. But some berries we can't consume as human, but the birds and many other species can consume these berries. Unfortunately, we don't know the nutrients of these berries because there are loads of different berries in this Yala ecosystem.
Right. Well, we are going into another quick commercial break. Stay with us. This is Couch Safari. Welcome back to Couch Safari here at Yala National Park this morning. In studio with Mr. Vimukti, a wildlife passion that just obsessed with the wildlife, and many years, 30 plus years I think.
That's right, yes.
In the field. So
long trekking in the jungles of Sri Lanka.
Yes, and just conversations with Mr. Vimu, it's like he's talking about family members when he shares his experiences with different animals. It's very interesting. Tell us, we have, who is this now? RUSL Explorer. He says, I'm a solo traveler. Can I visit the park alone? Is it possible?
Yes, you can visit the park by yourself, but at the same time you're not allowed to get down and walk by yourself. And the best thing is to hire a jeep, local jeep, and you can go in that jeep and enjoy what you are seeing today in this Couch Safari stream. But sometimes for some visitors, if you come in your private vehicle, you must have a park guide with you, because otherwise you might get lost there by the safety concern. So because of those reasons, there are rules and regulations are in place.
Right. Going back into the field now.
Sorry.
So this is Kumar at Yala. It's a great place to see some bird life, crocodiles in action during the dry months, and of course during the dry months in the evenings and early mornings there are good leopard sightings here, and elephants come to the waterhole in the evenings. It's quite a happening place, and a place that has so much of interactions between species. We're seeing a rather small flock of whistling teal at the Kumavawa here in Yala National Park on camera now.
There they go, whistling away.
Chirping away, yep. That's why they call the whistling teal. Oh, it's a common Iora.
Iora just flew past. I think.
He's there. He sat on that branch. Yeah, done. I wonder whether we can get the Iora on the camera. Oh, the teals are off. Oh, they're really congregating into a small patch. That's very nice. There she goes. So lots of lapwing, couple of painted stork, whistling teal, grey herons, pond herons,
Ibis, black-headed ibis.
ibis, bulbuls, rose-ring parakeets, Ioras, they're calling now. There you go, that's the Iora.
The swallows are flitting about. The
Blue-tailed bee-tails are flying around. As you said, Doc, the swallows are active. You get the green bee-eaters. You get a tern that is flashing in the water.
lovely whiskers.
So you just stop for 5 minutes to capture some footage of the teal, and all of a sudden you've raked in 12 species within that 5 minutes. So for a bird watching a tourist or a photographer who likes to capture birds, Yala does offer quite an array of dry zone bird life most parts of the year, but it gets even better from October, when the park generally opens after its closure in September, till mid-March every year.
Spectacular sight there. We will tell our audience the name of this bird here.
This is Brahmini kite. Yes, you can see it's also, same as the other bird. Again, maintaining its feathers. Brahmini kite, common raptor that's usually hanging around in the wetlands in this area, and so they also master in snatching fish species from the open water, and now he's resting and training its feathers.
Are they as quick as the kingfisher? Probably not, right? It's more of a gliding movement and then snatch and then, right.
Yes. They're using the talon. Kingfisher is using the beak, but this particular raptors are using their feet to catch fish and their prey. That's the difference
Right.
between kingfisher and raptors. Okay, it's amazing that how the birds can reach to every feather in its body, and then just clean it and put back into the same place and ruffle it, and they're ready to fly again. That's a morning ritual for most birds. And removing ticks and things like that, parasites, is also part of that preening process. Get the woolly neck stalk. Woolly neck stalk is also common, as I said earlier, and they, even though it's a stalk, sometimes it just spend time in the open grasslands also, because there are loads of insects and small creatures, so that you can pick them up, eat just walking along the grasslands.
I suppose less competition as well.
It is less competition, and in the nature it's always like that. They're trying to, it's called niche the area, the specialized area that you're feeding, you're hanging around, so that everybody can exist peacefully without too much of fighting each other. When it gets crowded, of course, with different species, even with the same species, then the competition will be very intense, and it's not good for all the species.
Now, walking on land like this, Yala being the land of the leopards, what kind of senses would these kind of birds have to be able to detect? Is it just sight, or?
Yeah, not only the sights, but also the sounds of other species, the alarm calls, all kinds of natural cues that they are using to increase their survival. Of course, their flying ability is the biggest weapon that they have to avoid predation.
Of course.
This is actually spectacular scene from the nesting colony of open bills. There's some wetlands, some tanks in Yala National Park. Every year you see hundreds of these open bills breeding in colonies. These are colony nesters. You can see a lot of nests close to each other because they come to the same place over and over again. If the place is safe, if the place has some resources to feed their chicks until they are ready to fly, and they come to the very same place. So the maintaining the tree cover, the trees that are nesting in this area, is extremely vital to maintain these kind of colony nesting grounds. And most of these birds will, not only they will stay in Yala, but also they will disperse into the other parts of Sri Lanka and sometimes other parts of the world also. So the colony, the nesting colony, is extremely important to maintain a good population of birds like open bills here, what you see.
Very communal.
Very communal.
Very close contact.
It is also because of the safety, because the numbers are big, so many eyes, and if one alarm call, everybody can be alerted, and then the probability of get predated by a bird, a single bird, is less when you're in a colony.
It's actually hard to tell that they're in a tree, at the top of a tree, that they're so uprigt, and
that's
looks
right.
like there's
Every single one is standing on its nest and doing their normal preening rituals in the morning. And these are all wood apple trees right across the waterhole in Komavava, and this has been a good nesting colony for many years. They have been watching these nesting colonies for a long time, and it appears that it's a safe haven for their nesting.
I've got a great message from Ravi. He says, very informative info regarding Sri Lanka's fauna and flora. Great to have you all share your knowledge. Of course, I have to say thank you to you as well. I know nothing about these beautiful sights and scenes, so it has been an absolute treat. So thank you from me too, and Ravi as well.
Thank you, Ravi. Yeah.
Going
it's
back
a pleasure to share what I have learned for so many years from the field.
Hidden away behind those leaves, we will tell us.
It's a leopard.
It's a leopard.
Yeah, big boy from Yala. I hope our viewers were able to spot the spots of the leopard through the foliage. He is peacefully sleeping there. I think the camera crew is waiting to see whether he will come out, so that you will have a better sort of a view of this apex predator. Peacefully sleeping in the morning, and you can see he's moving its skin and parts of the body just to avoid the ticks and flies that are flying around. They hate flies, it's a kind of a disturbance for them. Look at the way he's just looking at the camera through the foliage. Oh, let's see what it is.
Oh, he's awake.
He's awake, and he's very alert.
He spotted
and
the
he
camera.
But he doesn't care. I think he must have had a good meal last night or early morning, and take a rest in the shady area. So I'm sure he'll come out. They sleep like that after a big meal. You can see a big tummy, and then they take a resting is a big part of leopards' behavior.
So, of course, all this footage to bring you the safari, the beauty of the safari life and wildlife in Sri Lanka. The whole point is to entice you to come visit Sri Lanka.
That's exactly the case, And, you will see many things in Sri Lanka. The fact activities in Sri Lanka, there's such a small island in the Indian Ocean, and not only the wilderness beauty, but also the cultural diversity, food, and many more things. And please do visit Sri Lanka, and then you will see, you will be amazed. You'll be surprised at how many things packed in this small jungle, a small island of the Indian Ocean.
Small jungle too, comparatively
Small
speaking.
jungles, yes.
So we had a question from Danushka, just inquiring about seasons in terms of parks closing here in Sri Lanka, which is a practical question. Would you be able to enlighten us as to the seasonal changes and when the doors are closed?
Yeah, during the peak rainy season for Yala, in the month of rain, the monsoon starts from mid-October to mid-December, or sometimes goes to the early January, and that is a wet month. But the peak dry season, there's a habit of close Yala National Park from 1st September to September, mid-October, so 1.5 months during the peak dry season. Has been there, but last couple of years, I think this year they have not done that because there was plenty of water in the park, and it's a park official decision. Some years they close for 1.5 months during the peak dry season, but some years they just left it open. So please do check from the Department of Wildlife Conservation so that you will get updated information on park closures.
So crested hawk eagle on camera now. It's one of those. It's not the largest predatory bird in the island, Doctor, but my experience, I believe the most aggressive hunter from in the air in Sri Lanka. It takes down prey, sometimes the same body size of this bird.
Right. Someone said that they saw one attacking a peafowl, which
Yes.
is much bigger than him.
I have seen it bring down a peafowl.
Wow.
And amazingly, that was one of the best sequences I have seen. We saw it bringing down the peafowl, killed it by having a stranglehold on the neck. And while watching this and photographing it, one of my rangers said, "Chitral, there was a leopard who crossed the road from the behind of the jeep." So I saw a glimpse of the leopard and he disappeared. And then my driver, they said, "Could the leopard come to this spot?" And I said, "Well, unlikely." And within 2 minutes, the leopard came up to the spot. Immediately, the hawk eagle flew away, picked up the dead peafowl and walked away with it.
Wow.
And I have the entire series of photographs. So
Amazing.
sometimes the jungle does,
Right.
surprise you with events you don't expect.
Right. Yeah, so this one has a nice little crest, the
Yes.
crested hawk eagle, and actually now his name is changed to changeable hawk eagle.
I like the first one more, but well,
It's
That's how
I
it
think
goes.
it's called the changeable hawk eagle because there's a very big difference in the plumage between the young ones, which have a lot
Yes.
more white,
yeah.
and as they mature, they become much darker. And it's a more regional name, I guess, than a Sri Lankan name.
Yes.
But like you mentioned, it is a large bird.
Yeah.
It's an eagle, and its relation, the mountain hawk eagle, I believe is the biggest bird of prey in Sri Lanka.
Yes. Is fine-tuning its weapons while the crest is fluttering in the air. You can see a distant alarm call of the deer. It could be having a leopard in the vicinity, but that's a faint call. And when a crested hawk eagle, like what he is doing now, is surveying his territory, if you are a careless monitor or a tiny black-naped hare or anything that is smaller, you are in trouble. Because if you expose your location, death comes from the sky. And they are so swift. They'll pounce on you, and once those claws sink into your flesh, that's game over.
So of course the sights and sounds of Yala National Park is what we're being privileged to watch. We've got the crew out in the field and we're here in studio, a remote studio. Bimukti is keeping me company and sharing so many insights. I'm really grateful. It's quite the experience. Now, this is that the thorny tree you were talking about
No,
before?
this is actually a dead palu tree.
Okay.
And we are bringing some aerial footage of the northern part of Block 1 of Yala National Park, I think. So we'll see what it is. Yeah.
Also want to reiterate that the drone footage you witnessed today and over the last few days as well, according to regulations, we've been very sensitive to not disturb the natural habitat. So the animals and the birds, the fauna, have not been disturbed in any way. We've been very sensitive about that, and even remaining on the tracks, we've got authorization to come away from the tracks, but very respectful of the fact that we are visiting them in their homes, so to speak. So just want to make that clear. So, we did have a request to show more of a leopard. I think it was Shakti, maybe. Yes, Shakti wanted. Yes, Shakshi.
Yeah.
Wanting more leopards. Well, there you go, dear.
We would love to bring more leopards, but it's tough to get good footage of good streaming of leopards. If you get, of course, definitely we will always bring footage of leopards.
We're very lucky, though.
Love to see the leopard. Yeah, we are
very lucky. And I think because the park is officially closed due to the situation in the country, we've been able to get authorization to bring you this footage, and the animals are definitely out and about more so.
Yeah, I think they are very peaceful. They also must be wondering what has happened to the tourist jeeps, visitors, because they are somewhat habituated to the vehicles. They are not afraid of the vehicles.
Of course.
And but I would say that even though there's less vehicles, it's very difficult for us to look for these animals all the time, because we have only 2 camera crews out there, and then they have to look for everywhere to bring this footage from Yala. As I said earlier, this guy is just peacefully sleeping there. It appears that he doesn't have any
awareness of camera crew.
And also no plan to come out soon. So he's peacefully there.
Oh, just woke up, I think.
Yeah, that because of the disturbances from the flies and the ticks. They get really annoyed from the flying around. Oh, good yawn in the morning. It looks like he wanted to come out, but we'll see. Sometimes they got up. Yeah. So even though sometimes they get up and they just go back to sleep again. He just started walking towards the jungle. Let's hope that he'll come from somewhere else to the road so that we can have a good look at this particular leopard. If not, we'll find another one. So the crew is moving slowly towards the direction that he was moving, and we'll see if there's any chance.
Brilliant color.
So we've now got the adjutant stork on camera. It is called, it is believed that this is the largest bird in the country. A very impressive animal. Compares well with the marabou storks in Africa. And he's on a very nice spot here where Yasas can get our viewers a very clean image.
Again, the naked head and the neck prevents it getting soil when they are feeding, scavenging and stuff like that.
It's got a very strong personality, doesn't it, Doctor? As a bird, he means business, you know. I believe that's where he gets the name adjutant stork, you know, like in the military.
Right. So what we have is really the lesser adjutant. I think in India you get the two, the greater and the lesser adjutant. I guess he's dressed up for the parade.
We did see some of them in Yala National Park on
That's
our
right.
first or the second leg of the couch safari, but for some reason I feel that the locations we generally see the adjutants in Yala are more photogenic.
Absolutely. I think somehow, yes, rather than just on the open plain,
Yes,
this adds more character.
certainly does add the character, almost complementing the bird.
Right.
So for photographers, Yala becomes more special when the habitat complements the animals that is on offer.
And we have on offer for you an incredible opportunity. Sri Lanka really is a beautiful tourist destination, as you are witnessing. Wildlife is just one of the aspects of our beautiful country. So if you're streaming from outside Sri Lanka, don't forget to take part in the Sri Lanka Tourism Giveaway. My Sri Lanka Story is the name of the competition. You want to share a photo you took while visiting Sri Lanka on your social media platforms with a short and creative caption. You stand a chance to win a free holiday to Sri Lanka. That's right, a free holiday to Sri Lanka. There are 16 holiday packages up for offer. 4 packages include the air tickets as well as a 1-week stay at one of our beautiful hotels. And there are 12 offers of a 1-week holiday in Sri Lanka. To find out more details about the competition on Tourism Sri Lanka Facebook page, and you can log on to our website as well. That is srilanka.travel/wildlife stream. Taking you back into the field in just a bit. Hope you're enjoying Couch Safari.
That's a brilliant calotus on display, Doc.
Right, so this is much more typical, the coloration,
Yes.
a male displaying. A little garden dragon, isn't he?
It really is. It's put on all its colors. Nature has blessed it with and giving
that's
us
brilliant.
a beautiful pose. Look at the colors of nature.
Amazing.
Phew.
It looks as if someone actually just painted him.
Oh yes.
So colorful.
Yes. The stripes, the deep orange, the headgear,
Oh,
and the perfect pose.
beautiful. It's nicely displaying, extending his the gula sac
It is.
and also the scales on his back. There probably is another male or around. Generally they do this behavior when they are displaying to each other, or maybe he's just displaying to us and the viewers.
Definitely, Doc. You know, this is a special performance for the couch safari, I think.
Right. That's beautiful. And he is on the bark of a palu tree, the very rugose, the very distinct rough bark of a palu tree.
Yeah. Show is over. That was lovely.
That was nice, very nice.
Thank you, Janaka.
Good spot.
Well spotted there. Super.
As they make their way to their next stop, do share with the audience what we're looking at now.
This is again the Malabar pied hornbill. As I said earlier, they are somewhat common in Yala National Park. We have two hornbills. One is the grey hornbill, and grey hornbill is an endemic bird which is only in Sri Lanka. You can see them, grey hornbill, only in Sri Lanka. But the Malabar pied hornbill can be seen in the region in India, mainland India, and other South Asian countries. But it's quite common. Frugivorous, and also they eat lizards and small insects too. There are a lot of a good population of Malabar pied hornbills in lowland part of Sri Lanka, including Yala National Park. The wild boars, as I said earlier, wild boars are quite common in Yala National Park. Sometimes you will see the groups, sometimes you see the solitary animals.
So you have a bee eater who's caught a large dragonfly. It's a rather precarious angle for the camera, but I think Yasas is doing his best to get that image for you. We are on the Andun Orua Bunt, which is a lovely waterhole, and I quite love the name here. It says Andun Orua. It's a very, very beautiful name, and we have very impressive palu and kumbuk trees here. So we just turned into this rather tough road during the rainy season, and seeing a couple of things happening.
So this is also the blue-tailed bee-eater, Chitra, the
Yes.
migrant guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a beautiful bird. What do we have here? Still processing it. It's see how much effort it has to take to subdue it and make it eatable.
It's a large dragonfly,
Very
so
large, yeah.
it's not going to give up on life that easily. It will keep struggling, and I think instinctively the birds don't swallow it until it's pretty much stationary.
Right. Maybe
Because it could be irritating, isn't it?
caught something a little bit bigger than it could swallow.
That sounds more like us often.
Lots of bird life as everywhere else. Everywhere we stop, Chitra. I mean,
Yes.
the bird life has been amazing.
Yes.
Just Iora just came here and then flew off before we could capture it. The blue-tailed bee-eater. Now who's that?
And the bee that continuously keeps slamming the dragonfly on the little bark, trying to make sure that it squeezes out that little bit of life in it before he feeds on it. I know some of our viewers can be sensitive to this. It's like when a leopard we all love catches a spotted deer, but then it's just like you and I having a meal. These animals have to eat, and the key difference between animals and us is that animals never kill in anger, revenge, or for fun. They just kill to survive as food, whilst us humans are the only species on planet Earth that kills others just to amuse ourselves. Almost done. We're still making sure. I think the constant slapping has kind of killed the dragonfly by now, but the little blue tail is not taking any chances, just making sure that it's ready to feed on it. And there you go.
There it goes. Down goes the dragon.
Down goes the dragon. Ah, he's brought it up again. Yeah, they do sometimes regurgitate, but I think he's probably trying to kind of throw out the feathers. You can see the feathers jutting out of its beak now. Yep. Just the feathers coming out of its beak. The bee now looks like almost it has 3 beaks.
Exactly.
But he's just being smart. He's not going to ideally swallow the feathers, which is perhaps not that nutritious. So that's how nature works. That's a great shot, Yasis. Abhi Israeli and Janak.
An incredible effort there. So many life lessons to be learnt from the wildlife, from nature. We just have to tune in. That right there was perseverance, if I ever saw any.
That's right. It shows that the struggle, even your food that you take to survive, is also a struggle sometimes.
Indeed. And it's not much of a struggle, though, with Uber Eats. Very kindly, Uber Eats has come on board, and we're very excited to be able to offer you a 30% discount while you watch this magnificent footage. You can eat and explore with Uber Eats. You need to use the promo code EATSYALA30. That's the word EATS, E-A-T-S, YALA30, to get that 30% discount off your next Uber Eats order before 10 a.m. today, guys. The offer expires at 10 a.m. today. Simply enter the code in the Uber Eats app before placing your order, and this code is valid for one order only above 800 rupees, and the maximum discount available to you is 300 rupees per order. So thank you, Uber Eats, for coming on board and supporting Couch Safari. Now, this is a beautiful trail that we're going down. Tell the audience where
it doesn't look like a yala or
No.
a sort of open shrub jungles, but this is a special forest type that you will see along the Manik River, which is the one boundary of the Block 1 of Yala National Park, northern boundary of the Block 1 Yala National Park. And this particular forest type is called riverine forest. And the kumbuk trees and larger trees can be seen, and very shady. And the animals that you will see in this area are also a little different. You know, lots of insect life, and also different birds stay in these riverine forests.
Right. Beautiful. Quite mood setting, isn't it?
That's right, it is. It's shade and green and very
And we're welcome back. This is Couch Safari, checking out the sights and sounds of wildlife in Sri Lanka here at Yala National Park today. If you're just joining us, you have missed an incredible amount of beautiful footage. However, still have more to come, so stay tuned. Now, Vimu, there is so much to see at Yala National Park.
Absolutely.
What for you? Let's just get personal. For you, tell the audience, what's your highlight? What would be the most amazing thing that you hope to see every time you visit?
Well, I'm a different person than the normal wildlife enthusiast. My heart is with the wilderness all the time. Everything that moves, every little thing that I see, I enjoy because if I don't know anything about that particular animal or a plant or a flower or a fruit or anything, I just go back and learn about it, and that's the beauty of me. But you will be the same, if you come here. That inquisitiveness is the drive for us to go and explore a place. That's how it is. So if you develop that, that'll be the best way to enjoy wilderness.
Most definitely.
Beauty. Yeah.
And of course, don't forget, we do have that competition for you to enter My Sri Lankan Story. Give you a bit more information about that if you haven't already heard. I'll tell you about that in just a little while. Right now, we're heading back into the field to join our two specialists. Well, the sound of the waves just set the tone. Love that. Beautiful, beautiful landscape there. Now, tell us, we have a question from Nels J. He says, referring to a leopard that we were able to capture, not capture, but footage was captured earlier before. He wants to know, is that Lucas? And apparently, Vimu, you know.
I know some leopards because some of the identification work has been done by a group of leopard enthusiasts, and that was not a Lucas. No, that was a different leopard. What you see here in this particular footage, it's the Indian Ocean. One part of the one boundary of Yala National Park is the Indian Ocean, and this is, I think, the Patnangala beach. From Patnangala beach, yes, that's a Patnangala beach, and then you can see one of the best sand dunes in Sri Lanka. Some of the sand dunes are as high as 15 meters.
Goodness.
Yes, and there's a very healthy sand dunes, and even the tsunami couldn't breach these sand dunes. Tsunami breached to the national park in few different places where the river mouths and lagoon mouths over there, and but most of the places Yala was protected by this beautiful, very healthy, tall sand dunes. Those are called natural barriers, natural defense from natural disasters to protect human beings. These are the new areas that the natural science people are focusing on. And you see a flock of cattle egrets and little egrets just resting there. Right behind that,
there's an elephant.
Yeah, male elephant got into the water.
Didn't see many of those this morning, did we? So I think this might be our first one.
Yeah, usually you will see more elephants in the afternoon safaris. Morning safari, you will see one or two bull elephants here and there. But if you are interested to see the herds, afternoon would be a little better. But you never know. The wilderness is, you can't predict it. Everything is going to be a surprise for its visitors.
Most definitely. I want to say a special hello to Miss Priya Balakrishna. I think that's how you pronounce your name. She says, my dream is to go on a safari at Yala National Park. She says the people of Sri Lanka are the true gem, and apparently her sons are enjoying this event today.
I'm glad to hear that, Priya. Yeah.
Wonderful. So glad that you're joining us, Priya. Thank you so much. And a warm welcome as well to everyone from around the world that's just peeking in to the sights and sounds of Sri Lanka while we're caught up in this global pandemic. Unfortunate situation for 2020, but this concept truly has brought people together and taken our minds off what's happening outside our front doors. So a big thank you to the entire team, really. It's been quite wonderful. Now, what is this little bird, if you could tell us?
These are tiny birds called tricolored munia. There are a few species of munias in Sri Lanka. They love to eat these seeds of grass seeds. And so they just hop around on the grasslands and pick the seeds, munias.
Are they endemic to Sri Lanka?
No, this particular species is not endemic to Sri Lanka. There's no any munia species endemic to Sri Lanka, no.
Right. Tushara would like to know how many endemic species of birds are there in Sri Lanka?
There are 34 species so far, and most of them are confined to the highlands and wet part of Sri Lanka. If you go to Singaraja, Horton Plains, Knuckles and that area, you will encounter more endemic birds. But here in Yala National Park, it's a less number. It's about 4 to 5 endemic species. And now you can see one endemic, which is the Sri Lanka jungle fowl, national bird of Sri Lanka. And only 4 or 5 endemic birds can be seen here in the dry zone jungles like Yala.
I see. Big shout out and a big hello to Visit Ceylon. They're asking, Vimu, can we find black-necked storks here?
I have been, telling our film crew if we can find that black-necked stork, that'll be better for the shoot, because it's one of the rarest birds in Sri Lanka. Only few birds are existing here in Sri Lanka. So far, we are not lucky, unfortunately. We'll see.
Well, there's still hope. Going back into the field right now.
Hello? We are seeing the Mahasila cub coming out and walking peacefully up to the tree. Just wait, let him sit, let him relax. He's there. Oh, what a session now. We had this amazing morning with Dr. Prutu and I, looking at birds and everything, and now we see the leopard. Yasas, you're getting it on camera? Okay, great. Peacocks are calling at the back, the cub is panting. That's natural for this time of the day. There is a chance he might take a sip of water, but we'll just watch. So this is one of the cubs we saw with the mother yesterday morning, briefly walking. Oh, he's walking again.
Doesn't look like.
There you go.
Now. Tummy is full.
Oh, he's coming to have some water. This is going to be amazing. If undisturbed, leopards drink up to 5 to 7 minutes of water. And we are really in for a bit of luck today with this sighting. Doctor, how beautiful is this? So it's drinking intensely. It looks as if it has had a good feed in the morning or last evening. And it is very natural, as I said, that they will drink for up to 5 to 7 minutes, because that's not very efficient the way they suck up the water. So they have to drink for a long time, and leopards drink twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day when the heat rises. He is watchful. He keeps looking around, almost surveying every bit of noise in the jungle, while continues to drink, continues to suck up all the water it needs, and it walks away now.
Well, that was indeed a treat to watch that leopard have his morning drink.
Absolutely, very close encounter, and very peacefully he drank water and then walked away. I think our viewers are also lucky to have that kind of very clear, very clean, beautiful shot in the morning
Definitely.
hours. Yeah.
Kelly wants to know, how do you ID the leopards? Is it by their spots?
Yes, Kelly, we have to look at the face markings. Every animal has a different face markings, and not only the face marking, also the side of the faces and things like face to both faces. And if you take pictures very carefully, it's like our fingerprint. So every animal has a different face marking. That's how you identify them. But if you take the pictures and compare with different animals, you will definitely see the difference very easily.
Very quickly, since we just saw a beautiful leopard, Shayana wants to know, how old are the Mahasivala cubs? Do we have any idea?
I think they are about just about 1 year, as I can remember. I'm not 100% positive. I think it's about, I think just they passed 1 year. They're quite big now, still with the mother, and they will stay with the mother for about 2 years under the mother's protection, and then slowly move away. Yeah. But these particular 2 cubs are now started moving a little away from the mother, and we have seen that. We'll see next 1 year or 8 to 9 months. We'll see how they separate from the mother.
Just very quickly, there are so many more questions, but what are we looking at right now?
This is a spoonbill, very interesting bird. If you see the shape of the bill, it's like a spoon, and they're using a different, you can see now, and stretching its wings and feather preening is again part of its ritual as the other birds, as I said earlier. And it's not a very, you will see 1 or 2 spoonbill birds here in Yala National Park, not in large flocks. In some part of Sri Lanka you will see large flocks of spoonbills, and there are quite a few different species of birds that are preening and resting in this particular waterhole. The grey herons, the painted storks, spoonbills, medium egrets, large egrets. So it's very interesting. Yeah, and ducks too, black-winged still, so many different species in one waterhole.
It is wonderful to see them all together. It speaks, I said earlier, life lessons to be gotten from these images, to live in unity.
True,
they know how to respect each other's spaces.
That's right.
And come together.
Although they are in the same waterhole, their feeding habits are totally different from the other. That's how you live in harmony, reducing the competition, although you are feeding and hanging around in the same area. In addition to the birds, the crocodiles is also there. So these are the connections in the nature, the food web, connecting each other, and live in harmony. The massive mugger crocodile.
Goodness,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Loads of species.
Mahishi just said, that her kids are loving this. And I was just thinking, we could use this in schools as how to behave, how to live in unity. Insert some of these kind of footages in the syllabus, and our kids will grow up knowing what it is to live in harmony.
That's right. Yeah. This is a close footage of spot-billed pelican. We have seen pelicans in our previous streaming also. This is a very close up of two pelicans that are resting, and just a bit of a funny looking bird, and they have big pouch to catch fish, and communal feeders. They get together and feed like in flocks and rounding up the schools, and it's amazing how the cooperation between each other incorporate feeding. Is sometimes in the larger wetlands you will see the corporate feeding of pelicans.
Is that a term in wildlife, corporate feeding?
That's right. It's a technical.
Another life lesson, Vin.
It's also a life lesson. If you have a large flock of birds, how do you support each other? How do you support each other so everybody gets something to eat? And then we all get together and round up, and it's like the military formation, and it's part of survival. And what you see here is the pied kingfisher, one of the kingfishers in Sri Lanka. Pied means it's black and white. That's the term pied. There's no other colors. This particular kingfisher has a habit of hovering and diving into the water. But all the other kingfishers they just dive into the water from its perch. But this particular kingfisher, which is the pied kingfisher, go and hover in one place and in search of its prey, and boom, dive down to the water. So it's fun to watch the pied kingfisher fishing activity than the other kingfishers.
I want to say hello to Pamela Kure, who's been texting us through the morning. She says, camera work today is excellent, congratulations. And also asked the question earlier with our spotted deers that we were watching. She said, did that spotted deer have a broken foreleg?
Yes, Pamela, you are very observant and you have spotted that. Yes, it is. Injuries are part of life. And they run fast, and if one wrong turn, and this is you will end up in an injury. And those kind of animals also vulnerable for predation, and that is part of nature. That's how the weak animals just remove from the nature, and only the fittest will survive to pass their genes into the next generation. That male spotted deer had a injury, but nothing you can do about it, and it's a part of life in the wilderness.
Another good life lesson.
Yeah.
Heading back into the field. Oh, they're not quite where they want to be yet, so this is absolutely beautiful, Vinu.
Oh, this is a Manik River, which I was talking about earlier. It's a freshwater river, and then the water level will rise very soon with the rain in the uplands. But this is one boundary. This is the boundary river in the Block 1 of Yala National Park. When you cross this Manik River, you will go to the Block 2 of the Yala National Park. And this is a beautiful river, and you can see the sand beds are still open, exposed, but very soon everything will disappear and water will run through very fast to the ocean.
Right. Niroshan wants to know, has there been any official census done as to how many leopards there are at Yala National Park? And also, have any of the gentlemen, specialists, been granted permission into those restricted, the strict nature reserve blocks?
There are a few questions. Of course, there are, not really official census. Very difficult to get the exact number of animals, any park or anywhere in the world. It's not that easy, especially the places like Yala. The visibility is very short, and also you are not allowed to get down and walk around to get the sensors, because the animal will always run away. And the photo capture methodology to identifying the animal, I think the people have identified about 80 to 90 different leopards. But the problem is some of the leopards have already gone missing, and some of the leopards are still around. The missing means they are not killed, they are not vanished from the habitat, but because of the territorial animal, they may have gone to another part of the park, but we don't see, the visitors wouldn't see that. So getting the sensors to counting animal is not that easy. Because of that, we can't tell you exact numbers, but it's a fairly healthy leopard population is there. About 70 to 80 animals have been already identified, and that's what it is.
That's very interesting. An ever-evolving situation, isn't it? So it would be very difficult to keep track.
Yeah.
Well, I think our team has arrived, and we're able to go back into the field and see what they've spotted.
So the wild boar who crossed the main road are now crossing the other by road, the circular road that goes around the Menat Vava or the Menat water hole at Yala. They look very powerful. You get the little ones as well. They're not too little. They're all on the road, very relaxed.
You can see the little bit of mane on them.
Yes. And behind us, Doc, we are seeing a troop of langurs dancing around, making a lot of noise. So the jungle telegraph is alive.
There's another young one. So the wild boar actually sometimes their numbers increase massively, especially outside the park.
Yes.
And sometimes they can become real pests, agricultural pests.
Oh yes, they can create a lot of trouble for the farmers too. As we see a single bull elephant walking on the plains to the right of the camera, Yasas will slowly pan the camera and catch that for the viewers.
So this guy Chitral is Humpy.
Humpty, okay, that's cute.
He is one of the older bulls now. When I started work here in early 1990s, he was even then a mature young male.
Okay.
But now, like me, he's getting on the old side. So he used to have a nice, beautiful tail tuft, till one day he came up with the tail tuft not there and the tail bleeding profusely.
Oh my goodness.
Because it got bitten off by somebody. So he's a resident, and you often see him in Butua. And he had a friend, Nelung, who used to be often in the Butua tank.
All right.
He gets into it, and you see him most often they are eating the lotus plants.
Okay.
And sometimes he has, flowers in his mouth. We looked at a beautiful photograph of him like that.
Yes, I've seen that.
And but I think he may no longer be there. I think he was quite old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get a number of interesting characters.
So elephants living almost roughly the same age or on around a human lifespan, like 70, 75 years.
Right.
It's comparable lifespan. If you're young and you see a young elephant, you can actually mature in life and grow old with it.
Right, so actually their lifespan in the wild is probably less than 70.
Yes.
They can live up to about 70 or 70 plus in captivity, just like people.
Yes.
When in civilized societies, now we live for 70, 80, 90 years.
Yes.
But in the past, I think the biblical lifespan was 70.
Yeah.
So that's basically 40s, and that was basically the lifespan of a person.
Yeah.
And similarly, probably in the wild, an elephant's lifespan is about around 40-50 years.
Yeah. There's more to do here. There's a
Yeah.
lot of wear and tear that can take place.
Yeah, I mean, life in the wild is it's tough,
Challenging.
challenging.
All the
so
time.
there are lots of challenges all the time.
So as Doctor said, some of the elephants in Sri Lanka in captivity live up to 70, 80 years plus. We know of this very famous, amazing tusker called the Raja, who lived up to around 89 years in Kandy. But that is in a controlled environment where a lot of care is there, the right food is given at the right time, but as Doctor says, in the wilds it's much shorter.
Of course, if I was an elephant and I was offered the choice of being in captivity for 90 years
Yeah,
or living in the wild free
yes.
for 40 years, I would definitely take the 40 years.
That wouldn't be an easy decision, I think, yeah.
I think, I mean, as an elephant, I mean, your place is in the wild because elephants are not domestic animals.
Yes,
They can only be captive animals.
yes,
And it's not really a great life for a wild animal to be in captivity.
absolutely.
So I think even more than the length of life,
It's a
the
quality.
quality of life is, I think, perhaps more important.
Yeah,
Otherwise, even a short life might feel very long.
yes. I'm sure Humpy agrees with you on that.
Well, here they may actually live for a bit longer because, especially with the males, a lot of the males come into conflict with people, and that's
Yeah.
one of the major reasons that their life is perhaps shorter.
Yeah.
So within the park, Humpy, as far as we know, never goes out of the park.
Okay.
His home range is entirely inside the park. So he perhaps might last even longer.
So we also see on the front of Humpy a few domesticated cattle. So that's quite a common thing because right around the Yala National Park there are lots of cattle farms, and they're free range to find food, and the herders herd them up late in the evenings, but some of them somehow find themselves almost resident inside the national park. There's enough food, there is water, but of course there is this element of having to watch the leopard. But I suppose what you just said about the quality of life, maybe even the domesticated cattle must be choosing to take the risk of living with the leopard.
Yeah, but also, I mean, there is actually a bit of a issue that you have livestock coming into the parks,
Yes.
and so, I mean, there's majority of Sri Lanka is open to people and livestock.
Yes.
So it's only a very small area that is set aside for the use of wild animals
Yeah.
exclusively. Of course, we do still use it as tourists.
Yeah.
So whether you should have livestock even in that area is debatable.
That truly is. I mean, if you look at the number of mammals in the world, Doctor, they say that 1/3 of all mammals in the entire universe is us, and about 60% of all other mammals are domesticated animals for the use of us. So with all these large animals we see, of elephants to leopards to lions to tigers to even the blue whales, you take all these great mammals put together, if you take the percentage of all the mammals in the world, it is about 4% which we have kept for all these big animals.
Right, and if you take the big animals, I mean, their numbers, today a fragment, a tiny fragment of what they used to be. Asian elephants, all the Asian elephants as a species are globally endangered.
Yeah.
And because in the whole entire world, there's only about 35,000 elephants. And some of the populations, like the Sumatran elephant, was in fact upgraded, or should I say downgraded, to critically endangered a few years ago. And in some other countries like Vietnam, there are just a handful of elephants left. So Sri Lanka, in that way, I think perhaps Sri Lanka and India, I should say, are perhaps the strongholds of the Asian elephants. And Sri Lanka, particularly because we still have elephants over a larger area of Sri Lanka, not restricted to the protected areas, we have a very good population.
Let's hope it stays like that.
Yeah, I
As long
think
as we
we
can.
all should do all we can to keep it that way for the future generations.
Yeah, and we also appeal to all the viewers to join this effort of conservation by action or by word, because you can't always have everybody on the field doing active conservation. That we understand, but even by word or by thought or by prayer, if you can help the cause, it will help, because we will need all the help we can muster to ensure that animals like Humpty and all these elephants we see and everything else will be around.
Oh, there's another beautiful formation there, Vimal.
Yeah, this is Padikema rocks near Rukwile. One of the rocks that leopards frequently use in this area. There's a rock formation. It's called Padikema and Rukwile rock formations.
Right.
Spectacular. And from there also sometimes you'll see the ocean on the other side.
Beautiful. Pamela wants to know from earlier footage that we saw, are these village cattle in the foreground?
Yes, Pamela, some of the village cattle also get into the park, and sometimes they don't have any way to go back. Some animals go back, some animals don't go back, and they're just feeding around in the open grasslands. And leopards also prey on these village cattle also. But it's kind of a problem, but very difficult to address because it's livelihoods and many things, and the people also part of the surrounding Yala National Park. So, but this area should be restricted to the wild animals in technical terms. But what to do? It's part of the system now.
Roshan had a question earlier that we weren't able to answer because we had to go back into the field, Vimal, about whether or not yourself and the other experts, have they been into the strict areas of the park?
Yes, the other areas of the park you can go with the special permission from the Wildlife Department. Most of the time, only the researchers are allowed to go to the other parts of Yala National Park, other blocks. One thing, the safety is a concern, and there's road network is not there. In this within Yala complex, which is 5 blocks, there's one particular block. It's called strict nature reserve. That of course only the researchers are allowed to go. No any other activities are allowed in that particular reserve. So Sri Lanka has only 3 strict nature reserves. Yala, one of the Yala blocks is also declared as a strict nature reserve. That means the strict preservation is must of that particular block.
Right. Well, thank you for that, Vimal. Well, it's coming to the end of this particular streaming for today, for this morning. However, we will be back a little bit later on. Tomorrow, our streaming session starts at 3 p.m. and goes on until 6. Want to give a good reminder to everyone who's looking forward to coming to Sri Lanka. Try your luck with the My Sri Lanka Story competition. You want to share a photo you took while visiting Sri Lanka on your social media with a short and creative caption, and you stand a chance to win a free trip to Sri Lanka. 16 holiday packages on offer, 4 packages which include air tickets and 1 week hotel stay. There are 12 other packages available with a 1 week holiday stay in Sri Lanka. To find out more details, please log on to Tourism Sri Lanka's website or Facebook page. The website is srilanka.travel/wildlife stream. And of course, a quick reminder, if you haven't had breakfast yet, Uber Eats kindly came on board to support us. And if you'd like to take advantage of the 30% discount, all you have to do is type in the promo code EATSYALA30. That's EATS YALA30. Do that before 10 a.m. this morning and you'll be able to take advantage of that offer. Orders have to be above 800 rupees, one order only for this particular offer, and you can get a maximum discount of 300 rupees per order. So, Vimu, any final comments about the footage? We were very blessed this morning to see an absolute wonderful range, a spectrum of different visuals.
Absolutely. What you saw earlier was the coastline from the Patanangala beach. Patanangala is one of the few locations in Yala National Park that the visitors are allowed to get down, stretch your legs and enjoy the ocean, scenery of the ocean and the coastline. And as you saw, that coastline was a pristine, beautiful coastline. Zero human activities are there. That is why now you can see that it's in a pristine conditions. Broad sand dunes are there, and this is one of the best sand dune habitats in Sri Lanka. You will be able to have a glimpse of this coastal stretch from Patanangala beach. So if you are a visitor to Yala National Park, make sure to get down at Patanangala beach and have a look at the pristine beach coastal stretch in Sri Lanka in Yala National Park.
For sure. And of course, this effort by Tourism Sri Lanka and all the good people who've come on board to support the venture, it's all about bringing Sri Lanka to you. Sri Lanka truly is a spectacular wee island located in the Indian Ocean, and it really is a pearl, wouldn't you say?
That's right, it's a pearl of the Indian Ocean.
The culture, rich in culture, historic significance right across the country, and then of course the wildlife. So we do want to encourage you, once all the crazy comes to an end, this global pandemic shuts down and borders are open once again, make your way to Sri Lanka. Until then, join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. for another streaming where you get to experience Sri Lanka from the comfort of your couch. So until then,
very much.
Be safe. Thank you, Vimal, for a wonderful
Thank you very much.
Morning, and we'll catch you tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Bye-bye.
inspired moments with Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts.
I have travelled the wilderness of Sri Lanka for almost 40 years. This November, we take you on a safari like never before, where we travel to see the great gathering of elephants at Mineria and Kaudula National Parks. Join me as we travel the wilds of Mineria and Kaudula to see the magic of this event that has now become the 6th greatest wildlife spectacle in the world.
Sri Lanka is the best place in the whole world to see and observe Asian elephants. So we know many of the elephants as individual personalities.
We then travel to elephant country, which is Udawalawa National Park.
You will be traveling with a group of experienced wildlife photographers and enthusiasts who will be able to tell you lots of stories, lots of experiences, which is much better than a normal safari that you would go for.
We then arrive in Yala National Park, which is the home of the leopard in Asia. People say that leopards are elusive. Yala's leopards proves you wrong, as they walk the day as much as they walk the night in this amazing wilderness.
They're not only bringing you the unique wildlife of this small island nation, but also the stories that are connected to them from the experts who have worked in the field tirelessly.
Let me take you close for an immersive couch safari this November. This is the first in Sri Lanka. Don't miss this experience.